For too many, a fair trial is impossible to achieve and leaving them with no other option but self-representation. Such is the story of Tanggaraju Suppiah, a 46-year-old Singaporean man scheduled to be hanged this week for abetting the smuggling of cannabis. Campaigners have cited several concerns regarding the handling of his case and the execution of many other death row inmates in Singapore. Activists have said that it is becoming almost impossible to find a local lawyer to take on post-appeal death row cases, resulting in prisoners resorting to self-representation. This includes Naginthran K. Dharmalingam and Panchalai Subramaniam who, despite global outcry and rare protests in Singapore, were unable to access legal counsel and were executed the very next day. The problem lies within the Singaporean legal aid scheme that does not cover post-appeal cases. This results in families being unable to financially afford the professional help needed or relying on goodwill lawyers who, if unsuccessful in their cases, face heavy financial losses. Last year, the Post-Appeal Applications in Capital Cases Bill was passed in an attempt of tightening regulations around post-appeal applications. However, this does not eliminate the problem and does not ensure rights for death row inmates in Singapore. Tanggaraju faced similar issues, claiming he was not given an interpreter when questioned by police in English, and no access to legal counsel. While the Central Narcotics Bureau asserted that he had been accorded full due process under the law, other sources including Richard Branson, Reprieve, and Amnesty International claim that he could be the victim of a wrongful execution. Despite Singapore's strict drug laws and their government's stance on the death penalty as an effective deterrent and being widely supported by the public, activists contend that access to justice should be made available to everyone as they fight to preserve their lives. The world watches as Tanggaraju faces imminent death, and calls out to Singapore to finally take fair trial rights seriously, and be subject to meaningful scrutiny, in opposition of the rushed execution facing Tanggaraju. Campaigners have recommended that access to counsel and legal representation begin at the start of the police investigation and continue until the last stages of one's case, including up until the gallows. However, with Tanggarraju's execution likely to take place this week, it seems too late to have an impact on his own case. The plight of Tanggaraju and the 11 people executed for drug charges in Singapore last year illustrates the wider subversion of justice for death row inmates in Singapore and draws attention to the issue of self-representation in potentially devastating trials. The world watches and speaks out, hoping the Singapore government will soon implement fair trial rights and listen to their own people and activists seeking reform of the justice system. We implore you to take action and contact your local representatives to make sure justice is served, not only in Singapore, but throughout the world.